Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. That must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity James live stream. James, how are you doing on this me balancing out the aspect ratio on our Zoom call for OBS evening?
Well, while you're at it, hopefully the mic levels are working fine. You don't have to get jumped by some random technological glitch there, and we can all hear you. I can hear you just fine.
Yeah,
So
OBS it seems to indicate that it can hear me. So I'm gonna trust OBS.
great.
Um and yeah, and go with that. I'm using
Yeah.
my new mic setup. I got a
Mhm.
nice like a really expensive microphone with a telescoping boom and all this jazz. So hopefully my sultry dulcet tones come across even more velvety than they used to.
It sounds great. The ASMR um a- um continuing of our of our audience will love it.
I'm
I
sure
think
they will.
they will be floating in ASMR heaven, velvety heaven.
Fair, 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 fair.
Um Yeah, doing great on this side. I guess I'll just kind of, I mean, like with our stream, I guess I'll just do the same old thing. We'll do our streamcast where I'll do some animation stuff and we'll talk pop culture. Most likely it'll be video games tonight from just what I'm
We'll
gathering.
see. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, my friend. Let's see where the evening takes us. You know, as
All
everybody
right.
knows, we do not pre-plan this, so I don't know. I don't know
It's
what's in store.
always just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, which is how we prefer it.
And that's how we do it. That's how we do it on our show.
Um, well, where we left off last week, as I was working on Warhog ripping off Calamity Jane's tail, you can see
Hmm.
some of it still in animatic form, and I'm kind of just slowly kind of going through it, and then it snaps off and she falls off screen. I'm gonna add an extra pose. Like last week, I pretty much laid these two poses out, but I want
Hmm.
one more in between right here to kind of antic down before he actually pushes, lurches up to yank her off of her trusty steed Tinsel.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at tonight, and yeah, and I have a lot of the assets here to already kind of work from. So a lot of this will be just massaging vectors and art assets already that have already been created here, and uh, and then just trying to animate through and seeing how much I can get away with.
Sounds good. I'm ready. I'm excited in all respects.
Cool. So before the stream, before we went live, oh, well, there's a lot. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot we wanted to talk about.
I mean,
But I mean,
we
let's just
we
go with
we
what
chatted yesterday for like almost 2 hours
I
just
know.
on
Yeah.
random stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know which direction you want to go. I mean, we can go with the recency bias and talk about you picking up the new Capcom Fighting Collection too.
I don't
Um,
know that there's enough to talk about there. I mean, like the long and short of it is I'm terrible at fighting games. I love fighting games. At this point,
well,
Capcom has
you
re-released so many fighting games that it's hard to keep up with. And yeah, that's about it. The Capcom Fighting Collection 2 just came out and it has some of the most obscure esoteric Capcom fighting games that have ever been released. Most of them I actually haven't played, so it's really kind of exciting to dive into old Capcom fighters that I've never played.
mhm.
But it is really overwhelming because every fighting game has their own sort of subtle different mechanical difference. And I am not Justin Wong or Daigo. I can't just jump into any random fighting game and immediately know what I'm doing. But I've been goofing around with that, enjoying that. But I don't have a lot to speak on about that one beyond that
Well, I
particular.
mean, I have questions only
Ask
because
away. I love
I
it.
don't ha yeah. I don't have. I mean, I think I got I think I got the Street Fighter. This is where I get confused. Like, is this a cash grab by Capcom or what? Because I bought the Street Fighter collection,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. I have
Mm-hmm.
one of them on my Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have the Capcom Fighting Collection. Then they have a Capcom Fighting Collection too. How many fighting games have they released where you keep saying there's a collection, but yet there's another collection? Like, I remember growing up with this stuff, and I thought like everything was pretty much holistically collected in just one fighting collection. Like they had enough for Darksiders or
I can
Darkstalkers, I think, you know?
Darkstalkers, yeah. I
Yeah.
can tell you definitively that these are not cash grabs.
Okay. All
The
right.
game that you're talking about is the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which
Okay. All
has
right.
basically every version of Street Fighter from Street Fighter 1, all versions of Street Fighter 2, all versions of Street Fighter 3, and I think
Yeah.
all versions of Street Fighter Alpha minus Street Fighter 3 Alpha Upper, which was this sub release of Street Fighter Alpha 3 that never was out in arcades. It was only ever released in very specific markets, which incidentally is included in the most recent Capcom Fighting Collection too.
See, this throws me off.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. The Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is still probably my favorite because Street Fighter is still my favorite fighting franchise of all time.
Hmm.
And even though a vast majority, like with Street Fighter 3, the only version of Street Fighter 3 that anybody plays is Third Strike, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's cool to go and play the original Third Strike and third Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, I think is what it's called. It's fun to like see the different versions that led to the iterative process that led to Third Strike, which is, almost universally considered one of the greatest fighting games ever made, right?
Okay.
Um, but like the fighting collections are sort of a mix up of like just some of the more esoteric fighting games like Power Stone and Rival Schools or Project Justice. And even like games that even Capcom acknowledges are bad, they still include it, like Capcom Fighting Evolution, which is roundly considered one of Capcom's worst fighting games that they ever made. But they still included it in this collection almost out of a completionist standpoint. Um, and then, of course, they did recently, which is great, the Marvel versus Capcom Fighting Collection. So
Hmm.
they've got, I mean, the all time great Marvel versus Capcom 2, which is arguably one of the greatest fighting games of all time.
Hmm.
Um, but it has like everything leading up to it: X Men, Children of the Atom, X
Yeah.
Men versus Street Fighter, everything leading up to Marvel versus Capcom 2. So if you have like curiosity about how some of the great fighting games came to be, where they came from, I mean, they're really great, and not only from the standpoint of the amount of game content that's included in these packages. I mean, each one of them has no less than 8 games to
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
explore, but they also include like a soundtrack um, library player. They
Hmm.
include entire art galleries for every single game. So if you love concept art, which I love, you can kind of dive in and look at all the art for all the different games. I mean, this is so stupid. I mean, I've played most of the X Men versus Street Fighter, that whole kind of milieu of games, right? The Marvel versus Capcom games. So I rebought it, and
Hmm.
I actually haven't really spent a lot of time playing the games because I put hundreds of hours into all of these games over the years.
Hmm.
I mostly bought it just to look at the unreleased concept art.
Hmm.
um, so no, that is a very long-winded way of saying no. These aren't cash grabs. Every single
Okay.
one of the fighting game collections that Marvel has released, I've felt have been worth every cent that I spent on them.
Okay. Um, so you're pretty much saying that they've actually found a way to just subcategorize each collection in a way. And then I guess, I guess it helps to sort through them that way.
Well,
But I guess
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Yep.
The way I would think about it is similar to the Konami collections.
Hmm.
In particular the Castlevania collections, right? There's been 3 or 4 of the Castlevania collections released at this point by Konami, and I've purchased every single one of them because every single one of them has a new subset of games that either I haven't played in 20 years or more, or like, oh wow, I never played that Castlevania game, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
And it's another one where it's just like I've purchased every single one of the Castlevania collections and haven't regretted my purchase, right? And
Hmm.
it's the same with this Capcom fighting collection series that they've been doing for a while now. So,
Yeah, it's like for me, I was always kind of hoping I could just get one collection with
hmm
everything in one shot from year 2015 all the way up until, from all the way back to like 1989 or something like that. But that's just me being, wanting everything in the kitchen sink. And I don't know if how realistic that would be.
I
But
mean, they do. Okay, they don't. I mean, yeah, that's not going to happen. There's too much
yeah,
money to be
yeah.
made by splitting
Yeah,
all this stuff up.
yeah, and this is where I'm jaded because I think
Yeah,
this is a cash grab because it keeps separating stuff. But how you described it makes total sense as to how they've done it and why they've done it that way. I get that, but as a consumer, I want to be lazy and just have one thing, one little disc that I can just kind of throw everything into.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I understand what you're saying, and philosophically, ideologically, I agree with you. But
yeah.
from just a pure evil capitalist standpoint,
Hey, this isn't that bad,
it's
right?
not that bad. Yeah, like $40 for like 8 games, four of
Hmm.
which I've never played before. Okay, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Um, as far as the evils of capitalism are concerned, Capcom is being pretty generous with the
Yeah.
amount of content that they're including for the price point that they're charging for it. In my personal opinion,
Hmm.
um,
Um,
yeah,
Would you say so? The one thing is, like you, I also like to buy those collections now at this point, just for the art and the concept stuff.
mm-hmm,
Um, like 30th anniversary Street Fighter has some really cool stuff in there, I
mm-hmm,
recall.
yeah, it was a great one.
Yeah,
Yeah, one of my favorites
yeah,
still. I played the
yeah. It's such a
crap
good
out of that
collection.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm terrible at the game. Like you, I'm terrible at. You're much better than I am. I remember like you and I we played Street Fighter 4
yeah.
together once online, and you waxed the floor with me. I can't remember which character you were. It must have been Ryu.
it,
My
it was
my
probably
prime was
Cody. Cody was my
okay.
my main in Street Fighter 4. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, my prime was Street Fighter 2,
Mm.
vanilla Street Fighter 2,
Ah,
where they first
yes.
introduced.
Ah, yes.
They first had E Honda,
Mm-hmm.
Blanca, Dawson, all those guys. That was it. And after that, and then Championship Edition, I had some mileage with that. And after that, once they started introducing combos and aerial blocks and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and it was over for me. I just couldn't keep up. And then I just enjoyed it from afar and watched other people with a lot of skill, like Justin Wong,
Mm-hmm.
or these other guys, just completely take it to another level where now I just enjoy watching as a spectator sport.
Mm-hmm.
And watching, and it is fascinating how they just take it apart, like a Justin Wong will take it apart and like put put the science as to how the game is, how to play a character and stuff like that is
Mm-hmm.
pretty funny. You
Yeah, I
know.
mean the amount of understanding that they have to have of like active frames, invincibility frames, stun frames. I mean, like everything, right? Where the
Hmm.
hitboxes are, how many frames it takes to execute a particular move, what's your link window if you're trying to link a move into another move rather than a chain, etc. I mean, like the level of detail is pretty crazy, which is
Yeah.
particularly interesting given that the entire combo system that almost every fighting game uses to this day to a certain extent, um, that came from an unintended exploit in the original Street Fighter 2.
Wait, sorry, say that again. The combo part of it?
Yeah, so in the original Street Fighter 2, very good players discovered that some moves you could link together
Hmm.
before the
Yeah.
stun frames of your opponent ended,
Yeah.
and you could effectively combo these moves based on the animation of your opponent. And Capcom saw this and was like, wow, that's really cool. And then effectively, when they released the Super Street Fighter expansion of the Street Fighter 2 franchise and integrated the new combo system, they took what was originally an exploit and turned it into an integral part of the game system.
Hmm.
And it it is so effective and it works so well that basically every fighting game that has come out since then has used the combo system that Capcom implemented
Accidentally.
based on an exploit. Yeah.
So you're pretty much saying Killer Instinct borrowed from that exploit.
Well,
Because what I recall, and my
yeah.
history could be off, we had Street Fighter 2,
Hmm.
for a long time, dominated the arcades, and then we had, I think, Virtual Fighter came out for a little while, and then we had Killer Instinct. And Killer Instinct to me had the combo thing and the ultra combo thing, and they completely went steroids with combos,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then we started getting Alpha, and we started getting the other Street Fighter iterations with combos and implemented as well. So for me in my head, I'm always thinking, okay, Killer Instinct is kind of the father of combos, but I could be wrong on that.
Um,
Because of the accidental combos that you're talking about in Street Fighter 2, I guess I could see. But on the flip side, and then when you flip it around again, Rare, I think, was one who developed Killer Instinct. They're an American company,
no, they're
so I don't
British.
think they would have been. Oh, they're British. Okay,
Yeah.
they're British. So I don't know if they'd be. Would they be privy to seeing those type of that type of exploit in the street? Like maybe as a gamer, they would have known that, and then they made their game based on that. Makes me wonder. That's all.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that Street Fighter leaned into the chain system. So there's two types of combos
Mm-hmm.
in Street Fighter. There's chains and links.
Uh-huh.
Um, Chains are integral for like if okay, so Ibuki in Street Fighter 3, and it's been too long, so I don't remember the actual combo, but it's
Mm-hmm.
this like light punch, medium kick, hard kick. If you hit
Okay.
all of those within about a frame of each other, it just generates this automatic combo that your opponent can't break out of. It's just not possible to break out of. If you hit the first hit, if you hit the light punch and then follow it up with the other inputs, you're guaranteed to get that combo. It's just there's no way to stop it, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But there are also combos that are links, and what that means is it's not guaranteed. It's frame dependent. So you hit with a like for instance it's an easy link combo, but it is a link combo with Ryu, light punch, crouching light kick, fireball. That's a really easy three hit combo, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
the light punch into the light kick is actually a link, and it's a link because the active frames of the light punch and then the cooldown before you can execute light kick, if you time it right, you can do both of those moves before your opponent recovers from its stun frames, right? This it's really hard to explain. I feel like I'm doing a really bad job of it. But basically, a link combo is when you can execute as a player two moves manually before your opponent recovers from a stun state, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So a chain combo, if you hit the first hit and execute the rest of the chain, you're guaranteed to get the rest of the hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
link combo is frame dependent, which means that you
Oh
have
man.
to, right, you have to start the next attack the frame or a certain number of frames after your first attack so that the second attack will occur before your opponent recovers from a stun state that it's put in as a result of the first attack, right? So, link combos are sort of the core component of the combo system in Street Fighter. What Killer Instinct did is they took the concept of chain combos, where if
Yeah.
you get the first hit and then correctly input the button combinations, you're
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed to get every other hit. So they took
Yeah.
they took chain combos and put those on steroids, right?
Okay.
So
All
that's
right.
what there's almost no link combos in Killer Instinct. All combos in Killer Instincts are all chain combos. And and so to compensate for that kind of thing, they added like combo breakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you have to play this game of chicken and egg, of okay, um, it's been so long, and they changed it over the years, about when you can input combo breakers, how you input combo breakers. Um, But ultimately, the game is, can I get away with extending this combo for another round of hits? Um, and risk being having my combo broken by my opponent,
Hmm.
right? Because
Hmm.
breaking a combo, it's a huge punish, does a lot of damage, knocks you to the ground, right? Having your combo broken is devastating in Killer Instinct.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's I remember back in the day playing Killer Instinct, we would call, and again the verbiage has evolved, but we call those linkers, I think,
yeah, they're
when
linkers.
we when you
Mm-hmm.
start with a hit, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to have your linker move set in
Mm-hmm.
your head, right
Mm-hmm.
when you do the hit to continue going. I remember exploring that to death with Thunder,
Mm-hmm.
in the original Killer Instinct. He had one of the most forgiving linkers, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, or what you would say, I guess what you're saying is combo now.
Well, I mean,
Combo.
in the parlance of Killer Instinct, they were called linkers. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, but anyways, this is a really long-winded way of talking about
I know.
how I found Phil Bernstein to be the father of combos, or whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want to call it. But yeah, it's interesting to see Street Fighter kind of having an accidental. I could see Street Fighter having combos sort of accidentally being discovered and evolving from there too. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
would say that Killer Instinct was inspired less by Street Fighter and more by Marvel vs. Capcom. Um,
yeah,
Marvel vs. Capcom is straight up chain combos all the way through. There's a
yeah,
few link combos here and there, but by and large, when you play Marvel vs. Capcom, you're chaining the shit out of
yeah, yeah.
all of
I
your
mean, they were
moves.
very, yeah. The
Mm-hmm.
only difference was the aesthetics, the visuals was
Mm-hmm.
different, and also you were doing a lot more aerial stuff in Marvel
Mm-hmm.
versus
Yeah.
Capcom.
Yeah. MVC was a
So
very aerial focused game. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So for me, as a going full circle, I want to have all the Street Fighters, all the
Yeah.
X-Men games,
Right.
all the Marvel vs. Capcom, all in one DVD, and then I could just fire any of them up in one shot instead of having to get up, switch out a disc or switch out something. But that's again, I
Yeah.
totally the way they did it is it's one of the coolest ways to collect a set of games for sure. Um,
Hilariously, if you did do that, if you took every Capcom fighting game that has ever been produced up,
uh-huh.
up through where these collections go, which is sort of the early 2000s, um,
Yeah.
the memory footprint would still probably be less than Street Fighter 6.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
Isn't
fucking
that
crazy.
it's
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you know, um, because like even now with Fighting Collection 2 that they're starting to introduce 3D games into the mix. This is the first of their Fighting Collection that has included any 3D games.
Hmm.
The memory footprint is less than 2 gigs, I think. It might not even be a whole gigabyte. I think it's more than a gig, but it's not much more than a gig.
Hmm.
Um, and Street Fighter 6, I think, is something like 70 gigabytes. So,
Wow.
yeah, and like the memory footprint for all of the Street Fighter 30th anniversary collection, which is I don't know 13 or 14 games,
Yeah.
is less than a gigabyte, right?
I bet the concept art alone is
Yeah,
probably rivals the size of the games and a lot of those,
right.
just the little folders to contain all the high res JPEGs and stuff like that is probably having more of an impact on the memory
Yeah,
than
I
anything.
suspect the user interface probably takes up a larger memory footprint than the games
Yep.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, again, I mean, this is us being old guys talking about how beautifully engineered the earlier games are. I mean, to not they were perfection, but the fact that they could do that with,
Mm-hmm.
the artistry of condensing games to such a small memory requirement, that itself is something that I think is still like the fact that Street Fighter 6 is 70, you said 70 megabytes.
Something
It's
like
like,
that, 70
wow,
gigs. Yeah.
that's crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
I mean, it's a
but
pretty
everything you,
game, and I love
yeah,
Street Fighter 6. I mean, I liked it
yeah,
way more than Street Fighter 5. Um,
hmm,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, from everything you've told me, one of these days I'll pick it up. It does, I guess it does justify the 70 gig memory footprint because of what you can do in the game. I mean, it's pretty much a world-based game. You're going around open world doing stuff. Totally makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, when the Switch 2 becomes purchasable 2 years from now,
2 years from now.
Street Fighter 6 is a launch title. So,
And everything I've seen from the comparisons for on the videos and stuff like that, it looks remarkable. It looks great for
yeah, I mean,
sure.
Street Fighter 6 should port fine to the Switch 2.
Yeah,
It's not a
I was
graphical
kind of
powerhouse.
yeah, I thought some of the effects and stuff like that they had in the background, stuff like that. I mean, it could be just I know it's still not that heavy, but I thought with how loose they play with the rules, I thought for sure it might be chunky a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. Like when I got MK11 or whatever on the Switch,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Oh,
and I
wow.
was I was thinking the same thing. Like, okay, this game should play fine on my Switch, just like it would on the PS4. Boy, was I wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That thing, it was a garbled mess. Like
Mm-hmm.
the setup screens, the fight screens, nothing had it had none of the slick presentation as
Mm-hmm.
the PS4 or any of the consoles. The Switch suffered greatly. So that was my expectation for Street Fighter 6 was okay, I'm gonna say the same thing, but they're gonna scale everything back. They'll literally be just, flat frames. Nobody can react or do any kind of funny, moves or facial things or anything. No, it looks like a clean port, and so
Yeah.
that's where I'm coming from, where I had my worries about it. Like, so I was pleasantly surprised to see Street Fighter 6 look so good.
I would argue
Um,
that Street Fighter 6, or rather, not Street Fighter 6, the Switch 2 is
yeah,
comparable in power. It's probably a slightly more powerful Steam Deck, would be where I
yeah,
would place it. Right.
yeah. That's what it seems like the specs are showing right now.
Mm-hmm. And,
Um,
and as we've talked about at great length, I am, Steam Deck is maybe one of the greatest things ever invented. I use it constantly.
yeah,
Uh, if because I don't own a PS5, I don't own an Xbox One or X, or well, I can't even keep track of what they call them now. But Sony and Microsoft release all of their games on PC now, right? And
yeah.
they're all compatible on the Steam Deck. And no, can you play the games at ultra resolution? You can't. But you know what? At medium graphics, it still looks
It's fine.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, the fact that I can pick up Avowed, which, you know, famously I loved, I thought it was fantastic. An Xbox Series X game that I can play in my bed whenever I want to. It's just the Steam Deck is phenomenal. Steam or Valve rather kind of took the value proposition of the Switch and kind of gave it, like a new game plus kind of feel to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I did this crazy thing, and maybe we've talked about it on the stream, and so I'm repeating myself, but just for giggles, I streamed Avowed from my PC so I could use the high definition graphic settings. I
Mm-hmm.
streamed it to my Steam Deck, and then outputted the video from my Steam Deck to my TV, and it worked. It actually worked, right? Like
Yeah, that thought
this
that was
is
pretty neat
this is
that
how
you're able to pull that off.
insane the Steam Deck is, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I'm a huge Steam Deck fan, and the Switch 2, in my opinion, has taken a lot of lessons from what Valve has done with the Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I am, again, in 2 years when can finally get my hands on the Switch 2, I am excited about it. I think it'll be a fun little platform to
You keep saying
use.
2 years.
I mean, it's because like scalpers are just going to keep buying it, right, for the foreseeable future using their AI and bots. So normal humans aren't going to be able to buy this, and Nintendo's certainly not going to increase their production capacity to meet the demand. So, yeah, it'll be 2 years before I get one, and that's fine. I got plenty of games to play.
Do you think, well, first of all, for for fun, I put my name on the list for the
Same.
serve. Yeah, but you and I both, we both have not been contacted by Nintendo to go, congratulations, Nintendo
Did
fanboy.
you get the email this weekend that says, "Hey, we just want to let you know you're
Yes,
still on the
I did.
queue. Don't
Yes, yeah,
worry." Yeah, I'm like,
yes.
"Okay, that doesn't mean anything. Thanks
It doesn't mean
though."
anything.
Yeah.
We know you exist. We know
We
your
know you
money
exist.
exists.
Right. Exactly. We want your
Yeah,
money. Don't forget, we
yeah,
want your money. Yeah.
yeah. It's really funny. But again, like, yeah, we admit we talked about the stream a couple weeks ago with the first Switch debacle of trying to even reserve a system.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not even sure I'm going to buy one anyway. I just wanted to do it just to kind of have fun with it, just to see what it's to like how they're handling it and
Mm-hmm.
how, and what it would be like. But I'm in no hurry myself for Switch 2 as well. I have everything I need on the Switch 1. Um, and I
Yeah.
have a PS5 as well. So between those two, it scratches a lot of
Right.
itchiness for games already,
Right. I mean, I have Switch One. I have my PC, and by extension, my Steam Deck. I mean, like, is the Switch 2 beating down the door for me? No. Do I want to
Yeah,
play Mario
yeah.
Kart World? Do I want to play Donkey Kong Bonanza? Oh yeah, absolutely. They both look
Hmm.
amazing. Um,
Yeah.
do I want to play them bad enough to go stand at line at midnight at Best Buy? No.
No.
No, sir. No, thank you. Um, my backlog of games to play is so long at this point that, you know, it's not like I'm waiting to find my next game, right? I
Hmm.
have so many games I have yet to play. Like I rebought going back to fighting games. I had actually completely forgotten this. One of SNK's best fighting games ever made, in my opinion, King of Fighters 13.
Hmm.
They ported the complete edition over to the Switch, and it's great. It is the and this version is on every platform. I just happened to pick it
Okay.
up on the Switch. But
Hmm.
I haven't even dove fully back into King of Fighters 13, right? Um, I was going through my list of games that I have on Steam and my Switch recently, and like if I never bought a game again, maybe for the rest of my life, I wouldn't run out of games to play. Right? Like
Well,
this
yeah.
is this is
Yeah.
just how it goes. I feel like this is every gamer's dilemma. Um,
Yep. You're right.
and so like if I don't get a Switch 2 for the next 2 years, okay, that's fine.
Hmm.
And we talked about this a few weeks ago. You speculated or offered that Nintendo was going into their new villain era. And based
Yeah,
on
they're
some of the
definitely
things they've
heel.
been doing recently, I'm inclined to
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah,
Like
they've
hardcore, they're in their latest villain era.
yeah, they've totally. I mean, I hate to use the tropiness of WWE, but they
No,
went from
they
Hulk
did a heel
Hogan
turn,
to
straight up heel
yeah,
turn. Yeah.
they did Hulk Hogan to Hollywood Hogan
Mm-hmm.
so hardcore
Oh
on this.
yeah.
It's so weird.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are in their latest heel mode. And you mentioned it, and I'm like, I don't want to believe it. And then like a few things
Yeah.
happened almost immediately after we talked about it. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's weird. It's
okay.
almost like on a script,
I
like
know.
this is what we're supposed to do next. To be a villain, we have to fill
Yeah.
in the paint in the numbers. This is our next number we got to do,
Right.
you know.
It's hilarious how much like the WWE, the video game industry can be mapped. Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I do feel like Nintendo's taken a heel turn recently. Does it make me love them any less? No, of course not. Now I'm a
Of
villain.
course not.
I'm absolutely
You're
rooting for the
yeah.
villain now, right?
Yeah, childhood memory
Yeah.
from your childhood. You have memories of Mario, Donkey Kong. Of course, same here. I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, the fact that they did like, what's the most recent? And they want to brick your Switch if you
Yep.
blink 3 times wrong or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
It's just
Yep. Yep.
absurd.
Yeah, if you
Like,
blink
come
too hard
on.
in the direction of Mario, they're totally breaking your Switch. Yeah.
The total remotely gonna, yeah, come
Yeah.
on.
I
And
know.
especially with the price tag.
Dude, I know.
Ah,
It's hilarious.
oh,
Yeah, that
no.
was the one when I saw that. I was like, "Damn, James called it. Straight up heel
It's like,
turn." The second I saw that, I was like, "You
yeah.
nailed it, man. They are in their
Oh,
latest villain
man.
era. There's no escaping
Yeah.
it." And
And
yeah.
I was gonna say, I wonder if these heel turns happen again. Maybe this is corporate leadership because again, when Reggie was in charge of
Hmm.
Nintendo America, that was what I would consider, even despite
Oh
Wii U
yeah.
being under his watch too. That was, to me, I would consider that almost. I
The
will say it's the golden era for me for Nintendo. I
the
think that was when they were their shiniest,
the
coolest.
the Satoru Iwata Reggie double team,
Yeah,
like the 1-2 punch of
yeah,
those guys. Yeah,
yeah,
that was peak Nintendo like
yep,
purity, right? Like those
yeah.
two. I don't know what it was because I mean Reggie wasn't a gamer really. I mean, Satoru Iwata
Okay.
was big time,
Uh-huh.
but for whatever reason, Reggie Fils-Aimé like understood that building goodwill paid off dividends in the end. Like the long term gain of building trust with your consumers paid out more than the short term easy money of just sort of the standard business practices of most, commercial corporations.
Hmm.
Um, and then, unfortunately, RIP, Satoru Iwata died. One of the
Yeah.
most important people in the history of the games industry, maybe even more important than Shigeru Miyamoto.
Hmm.
Um, and then Reggie retired from Nintendo, and it's sort of like they have, we talk about the heel turn now, but I feel like it has been going in that direction
Yeah.
for a while, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, it is appropriate. Like the current head of NOA is named Doug Bowser,
Oh yeah,
so
I know.
it
Yeah,
just,
you can't
I mean,
really.
it's just like, how do you get any better than that?
Yeah, absolutely true. Um, yeah, I mean they're living up to, yeah. Bowser's definitely living up to that name. But it's okay. Again, even with them doing the heel turn, I don't even know if it's. I am really curious how this is going to play out. Whether Nintendo will learn a lesson or not, I don't know. Like I've been seeing little blips in headlines like, "Oh, we will have stock after all,"
Hmm.
for Nintendo Switch 2s. Like, is it fabricated? Is it manufactured? That fabrications out there to try to stir up excitement for the Switch 2. Oh, you better get yours before the reservations run out. And then all of a sudden, well, actually, we are gonna have some. Like, it's almost like I don't know, but Nintendo's been known for doing this. Even when they were in their good guy mode or bad guy mode, they would always have these issues with
Hmm.
supply. So I can never really take them too seriously on it. But I have been seeing more and more blips about, oh, we will have some. Best Buy will have some on launch day, kind of a thing going on. Like you can walk into your Best Buy and get one. I don't know if you've seen these or not, but I have
I've seen murmurs of
internet.
it. I know Best Buy's doing,
Yeah,
or not Best Buy, GameStop, or I can't remember.
yeah.
Some retailer is doing a midnight launch.
Hmm.
Didn't get a pre-sale. That's fine. Come down to your local store and stand in line starting at midnight so we can do
Yeah.
and then we'll try to sell them to you. And man, I'm just too old. I turned 44 in 2 weeks. I don't have the energy to go stand in line in a Best Buy at midnight anymore. And I have thousands of hours of video games that I have yet to play that I've purchased.
Hmm.
Um, I'll get a Switch 2 when I get a Switch 2. I did stand in line for a Switch 1. I admit that. But
Yeah.
but
Hmm. Hmm.
but I was writing a video game at the time. A Bill and Ted video game, which unfortunately is not available to play anymore. And as I was standing in line, I was reading all of the comic books, taking notes, getting sort of the
Wow.
voice of the
So
characters, and it was all billable hours. Like I sat in line to buy a Nintendo Switch and then build the hours that I was sitting in line.
why
So
not? Why
yeah,
not?
so it wasn't a waste. Like I sat in line and got paid to sit in line to buy a Nintendo Switch legitimately because it was legitimate research. Like I used the things that I was reading to inform how I wrote that video game.
I remember that project because I was helping out. This is with
Yeah,
Kevin.
yeah, with Kevin. Yeah.
And
We
I
should get
remember
on as a guest because he
yes.
he will talk for
Yeah.
2 hours and we won't say a single word.
On top of that, I think he'd find it funny. Like, wait, I paid you to wait in line to buy your Switch, blah
Oh,
blah, blah.
he.
And
Oh
he'll look.
no,
He,
I've told him that so many times. He knows. It's
oh, you
not. It's
have
not a
great,
mystery to him. Yeah.
great. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he got a kick out of that. But yeah, I remember that. That's crazy. It's almost like a lifetime ago. Think
Mm-hmm.
about it that
It
way.
was like 20,
I didn't know that that was the launch date for Switch was around that
2017.
era. Yeah,
2017. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. Okay.
So yeah, if I could bill the hours to sit in line, then yeah, oh yeah, I'd go sit in line again, sure. If someone's gonna pay me to sit in a line. Um, but I'm not gonna go sit in a line if I'm not getting paid for it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um,
But anyway,
well, that's not going to be the case this time around.
no, no, I'll
And
get a
again, you're wiser, and
yeah,
you
I
don't need to
am.
do that.
Yeah, I don't need to do
You
that.
know?
I have so many other
Yeah,
things to do. And,
yeah,
and we're just talking video games. Like I have a whole life of things that occupy my time, right?
yeah, sure. Although video games is fun,
I mean,
no
video
doubt
games are
about it.
fun, and it is a part of the, video games are a part of my DNA. I don't think that anybody is going to
Yeah,
accuse me of anything else. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm just over it. I'm over um, chasing technology fads, I guess.
yeah, I don't blame you. I'm worn out about it too, and I'll lazily just either buy a secondhand or go
Mm-hmm.
on eBay and buy a Switch 2 if I need to at all.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no need. It's a
No.
more of a want, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
Well, I was gonna say, like, we have more to talk about, but it's kind of crazy how
Well,
we plan it
we
on.
typically have a hard limit of about an hour. We've gone over that from time to time, and it's not even 45 minutes at this point. So,
Yeah, but the next things we could, I mean, I'm at a good spot as far as the animation is concerned. I don't know if
okay.
you've
Yeah, I
been
can
seeing, but
yeah, I can see
he's
that.
pretty much
Yeah.
snapping. Yeah, so we've got Calamity up and going. I can still keep working a little bit. I mean, because I know we had something we wanted to talk about, which was obviously Sinners.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I did see
And that's
Sinners, which was
yeah,
but that is like two podcasts worth
I know. So what do
of
we do here,
content.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got that. There's some righteous gemstones to talk
Yeah.
about. There's
Yeah,
plenty.
there's
There's
a
plenty to
lot.
talk
Yeah.
about. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I could keep kind of plowing ahead a little bit. I mean, I can do this pose here with Clem Jane. I'm actually just excited that like we pretty much got two scenes kind of nailed out for the Warhog. Now you notice
Mm-hmm.
I still have to do Calamity Jane here, sketch form. I'm only using her tail as the anchor to do the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the animation, but she's going to be pretty much just ragdolled off the shot and into this shot,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to draw this pose here. But again, but yeah, that could be something for next week, or I don't know. How are you feeling? Like, how's your engine roaring for
I
talking
mean,
more
if
about?
we're at a starting point, I don't know that we really gain anything from you starting a new thing. Because at this point, I feel like if you start a new thing, we're going to be here for another hour, and we generally speaking
Yeah,
don't like to
I was
keep
kind of
things
feeling the same
going.
way, but I
So
want to talk about that stuff. That's the thing. It's fun to talk about it. That's all.
yeah,
But
I think
yeah,
next week we can dive into Sinners. There's
hmm,
a lot to talk about that movie.
sure,
I mean,
sure,
Ryan Coogler is just a phenomenal writer, phenomenal director. Um,
yeah,
and there's a lot to unpack, I feel like, with Sinners. And we already have, and we can relitigate that next week maybe. But yeah, of course, there's
sounds
Righteous
good.
Gemstones, which is just wrapped up recently,
Hmm.
um, and a few other things that we can chat about. But we can say that for next week, I guess.
Sounds good.
It was not my
Yeah,
intention to dive down a Capcom fighting game rabbit hole.
this is kind of my fault. I wanted to do some recency bias because I wanted to get my question out there about, and I knew you would have the answer as to why there was
Mhm.
not, why is it not in just one collection? But yeah, we kind of thoroughly went over that. Yes, and makes perfect sense. And Capcom will still get my money for all the other collections eventually, but we'll get around
Eventually,
to
yeah,
doing
they
it.
put them on sale
Yeah.
all the time.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yep.
famously, Nintendo and Capcom are my two favorite developer publishers, right?
Speaking of, what's funny is speaking of Capcom, I did spend money on Capcom. I bought Resident Evil 4 Remake for my PS5,
Oh, have you tapped into that yet?
and I've been playing that. So it's again another thing we could talk about as well.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure where's your opinion on RE4? Like, did you like it or did you hate it?
No,
What?
I'm an iconoclast in this instance. I'm one of the rare few who didn't like Resident Evil 4.
I suspect I know why, but
Okay.
again, we can go into that later. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is considered a masterpiece by
Mm-hmm.
many a gamer. I'm up there. I count it as one of the top 10 probably. It's a great game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this translation's been good so far. It's been
Yeah,
good.
no,
But
I'm
I have
I
yeah.
mean, people loved the RE4 and RE2 remakes.
Mm,
Stellar reviews for both of those. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, but anyhow, but yeah, we animation wise, we're in a good spot for tonight. And we'll just go into it. We'll keep going into next week and we'll have Calamity Jane get her tail broken for
All
next
right.
week, sadly. Poor girl.
Love it. Well, I mean, there is subtext. There's a meaning to her having her tail.
Yeah, yes.
As a
Yes,
writer,
of course.
I don't write a single line of dialogue that doesn't have 12 layers of meaning.
Of course, of course.
Anyway, okay, well, we'll wrap it up there and we'll pick it up next week. Um, uh, Please head on over to calamityjane.rocks. That'll take you to our Patreon site. And please consider subscribing to our site and help us making this cartoon a reality. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube, which presumably you already have since you're watching this stream. We also do fun stuff over at Instagram. It's another location that you can go to help just find all the latest updates on what we're doing on Calamity Jane. In the meantime, we're going to wrap up here. We'll be back next week. Same Calamity time, same Calamity channel. Stay safe out there, everybody. Good night.